Mizmar, Shiur, Medrash, Yalkut. Good evening, my Rabbi Sai, Afreilach, Chanukah. Welcome to our home. I want to thank Torah Anytime for the good work that they do, always allowing Yidden to learn Torah anywhere, anytime, and in any place, Baruch Hashem. I also want to give a big yasher koyach to my chavrusa Reb Naftali Osher for sponsoring this. Leil Nishma Zayin Tata Zechreinu Levrocha, Rabbi Yitzchak Shloima Ben Avram Yankiv and the Neshama Zohben and Aliyah. We learned together the Yerushalmi, Baruch Hashem. We just finished Baba Basra. We just started Sanhedrin, learning Baba Basra together. When you learn the Bavli Baba Basra, learning Sanhedrin when you learn the Bavli Sanhedrin has an extra special meaning. It gives so much more clarity, Baruch Hashem. Tonight, Zera Shimshn Shiur is tailor-made for the home. It's in our home, as we always do. Can I know we have a big crowd, bigger than ever, Baruch Hashem. And the schus from the Zera Shimshn, Shimshon Chaim Benachem Michol, Zolens Beistein, as we learn his words week in and week out. It's a big tribute to all of the Chevra. Welcome to the home. Welcome to our family, because the emes is we're all one big Zera Shimshn Mishpucha. Mizena Zera Shimshn Mishpucha, Baruch Hashem. Zog der an, kim a bissel anunter, kannst kicken heran. Says the Medrash on the pasuk, we say, a minig is to say Mizmar Shiur Chanukah's Habayis LeDavid. Mizmar Shiur Chanukah's Habayis. We say Mizmar LeDavid. We say Mizmar LeDavid on Shabbos, 3 times on Suda Shlishis. Mizmar LeDavid, a song for David. We say Mizmar Shiur every day. Maybe we don't realize that the Lashon, the language, is redundant. It's kefel. If it's shiur, like Shiur Hamalois, you don't say Mizmar Shiur. If it's a shiur, it does a shiur. And if it's a Mizmar LeDavid, the Mizmar that you say over here, Mizmar Shiur, the Medrash points out, is really a double lashon. We don't realize it because we say it all the time, so it rolls off our tongue. But really, as the Yalkut brings, Mizmar Shiur Chanukah's Habayis LeDavid, it asks 2 questions. Number 1, V'chi David Bonoi, Chanukah's Habayis LeDavid. David never built the Beis HaMikdash. Who built the Beis HaMikdash? Shlomo HaMelech, nicht David. Question number 1. Zweitens, V'lomar Mizmar Shiur. And the Medrash answers, Keneged Beis HaMikdash lemala milemala vilemata. The shiur that goes on, the song Mizmar Shiur, there's this double shiur above and below. That's the answer. Frek de Zera Shimshn, ha'olam makshim. The oilam frek the following question. Shahoyaloi lahaktem kushya shniya koidem kushya rishayna. If you start the Mizmar Shiur Chanukah's Habayis LeDavid, if you go in order, the first question should be Mizmar Shiur, what's the double lashon? And then why LeDavid? If you pay attention to what he quoted, it's fakert. It's the opposite. It's Mizmar Shiur second. First he asks, Vosepes David HaMelech. And then he asks the other question of Mizmar Shiur. Share kushya hashniya hi al tchilas haposik Mizmar Shiur v'akushya rishoyna hi al soif haposik LeDavid v'chi David Bonoi frekt de Zera Shimshn umideloi hiktim. It would seem that there's a lumdus here. They asked the question in this order because the first thing that bothered him, David HaMelech, is the reason that the second thing bothers him, which is the Mizmar Shiur. As though, if it wouldn't have said David, just say Mizmar Shiur, Chanukah's Habayis, Aremimcha, without the word LeDavid, Votachnish Kefrek, I wouldn't ask the Mizmar, I wouldn't have asked why does it say double. But why? If it's double, it's double. Let's see it it inside. Umidaloi hikdim mashma deloi koshelei hakefel rak achar she'omar liDavid. Because he says liDavid, ho'ilu omar mizmor shechanukah sabayis v'sulei nami kosher hakefel. David's mention here makes everything shver. Manavshach, it's shver, the double lashon. Why is the double lashon not shver without David HaMelech? And Vusa David HaMelech, why is the mention of David HaMelech making it a question? Where does he see that from? From the order of the question. Because we're asking about David first, then you're asking about Mizmor Shir. Aklude kasha. The question is quite clear. V'yesh loymar, damrina beperakama desoita. Rananu tzadikim l'Hashem, la'yisharim nava sihilo. Maybe we'll get Taka Yitzi Dumia at Toiva. On the table is also a Gemara Soita over there. There's, if you want to bring that for me a second, let's see the Gemara inside. La'yisharim nava sihilo. La'yisharim means the Yashar Dika people. Nava sihila. They give praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They have sweet praise. The Gemara over there says, Eilu Moshe v'David shaloi sholtu soineihem b'maaseh yadehem. Shkoyach. Shaloi sholtu, which means David HaMelech and Moshe Rabbeinu, their handiwork, what they did, Goyim couldn't be shoylet on. We know Moshe Rabbeinu didn't build the Beis HaMikdash. If he would have built the Beis HaMikdash, it never would have been destroyed. Correct? It would seem to be, the Gemara is saying, if David HaMelech physically would have built the Beis HaMikdash as well, it wouldn't have been able to be destroyed. What are the things that David and Moshe Rabbeinu made that stopped, that was not, that Goyim could not lay their hands on? Let's see. The Zera Shimshn doesn't say it, but let's see what the Gemara says. Zuk the Gemara. Now Zoy Zuk there. Ranu tzadikim b'Hashem. Ma'isharm nova sila atikra nova ela novei. Novei means a place of dwelling. Ze Moshe v'David shaloi sholtu soinem b'maaseh yadeim. David dichsev tavu ba'aretz she'areha. The gates sunk into the ground. Soon he's going to talk about, we'll see the Marsha, what gates there were. The gates sunk into the ground. Moshe the Amar Mar Mishaniv Nehamikdash. When the Beis HaMikdash was built, they had a Mishkan. The Mishkan came with Bnei Yisrael from the desert into Eretz Yisrael. It was in a place called Shiur for 369 years. Eventually, that's where that's where Shmuel anointed Shaul and David. But eventually, when the Beis HaMikdash was built, what happened to the Mishkan? I know we read, the Olam was by Kriyas HaTorah today. We read about the Mishkan. Right? We read about the Mishkan. Right? The Nesiim. Right? We read about Chanukah. Says the Gemara. Mishnivne Mikdash Rishon Nignaz Oyel Moyed Kroshav Brichav Va'amadav Va'adonov. All of the whole structure, everything about it was all hidden. Where was it hidden? Rashi over here says the Gemara Heicha Amar Rav Chizda Tachas Mechiloi Shel Heichal. Somewhere under in the tunnels below the Heichal, somewhere down there is the Oyel Moed of Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Goyim can't touch it because Moshe Rabbeinu made it. And what David made can also not be touched. What did David make? The Sha'arim, says the Gemara. What does the Gemara mean, the Sha'arim? What's maintenance? Let's see what the Zera Shimshn says. V'kosiv marsha tavu ba'aret sharel de b'medrash rabbi yesha sharlu Haim Sha'arei Beis HaMikdash. They are the gates of the Beis HaMikdash. V'nasu lehem nes lefi shecholku kavod le'orain. According to the Medrash, they gave cover to the Aron. They didn't let the Aron come in. The Olam knows the story. Rashi says it's referring to Sharat Tzion in the city. V'loishar Beis HaMikdash. The Marsha says v'nitchak b'zeh mishum denokadachet David v'hu loy bana Beis HaMikdash ala shlama bana v'amedrash sova devadei sharei mikdash ayri v'af agav de shloima bana ikar hakoved hoya leDavid. Even though Shloima HaMelech built the Beis HaMikdash, but David HaMelech, because he prepared everything, as we'll soon see, the Sha'arim gave kavod to David HaMelech, and they were associated with him. But we'll see the story. He prepared Heichen Kesav V'Zav LeBinyanai Kana Mokoim Shel HaMikdash V'Lagabe Shar Mamrinan Dovku Shar Zeba Zeh Ad Zochra Lechazdei David. Says the Marsha, the Zera Shimshn, that these Shi'arim, and literally the Beis HaMikdash did not have a Chanukah's Habayis. It didn't open up until the schus of David was evoked. What are we talking about? So there's a Gemara in Sanhedrin. Later on, at the end of Sanhedrin, it's about 100 pages away. Says the Gemara. Kuv Zayin Amid Beis. Listen to a story. B'shah shebana Shloimes Beis HaMikdash. When Shlomo Melech built the Beis HaMikdash and completed the whole Beis HaMikdash, Bikesh lehachnis Aron lebeis Kodshei HaKadoshim. He wanted to bring the Aron into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Dovku sha'arim zeh v'zeh. The two gates, there were gates there, they were dovak. Dovak means they were glued, attached. It's not opening. When we say, we put the Sefer Torah, Su'u sha'arim rasheichem, v'inosu pischei oilam v'yovei melech hakovoid. Didn't open up. Omar Esrim Va'arba Renonos. 24 different types of songs. Loinena. Gurnished. He sent soldiers, open it up. Melech Zelo Holech. It's not going. It's not opening. Loinena. And then he said the following statement. Kivan Sha'amar Hashem Elokim Al Toshev Penei Mishichecha. Please don't turn away the face of your anointed one. Zochra Lechazdei David Avdecha. Remember the chesed of David. Miyad Nena, but not Miyad Nena. It opened up immediately. Miyad Nena. Ba'oisoi Shah. At that moment, Nepchu Pnei Soine David Kishule Kedera. You know what Shule Kedera means? Have you ever left a pot on the stove and you forgot it there? And it says verbrennt geworden, and it got burnt and it's black. That's what the faces of the people who said Lashon Hara and who were against David, because they tainted that David was at fault and had sinned, when the whole Klal Yisrael was sitting there. And Shlomo does anything and everything to get those gates open. And it doesn't open. And he mentions David HaMelech's name. And it opens up. At that moment, the kol soine David kishule kedera v'yoidu kol Yisrael shemoichala HaKadosh Baruch Hu al oisai avay. Everybody knew that even though David had made a mistake, David Lefi, his Madrega, made a mistake, it wouldn't open up the Beis HaMikdash if not for him. So those Shiurim became identified with David. When the Goyim came to fight and destroy the Beis HaMikdash, when the Goyim came and Titus took out the menorah and he carried it back to Rome and he took other kelim, says the Medrash that the gates of the Beis HaMikdash sunk. They miraculously submerged below the ground so that the Goyim couldn't take them. So when the Gemara in Soita that we learned says that the Maisa Yadav of Moshe and David, Goyim were not shoylet on it, it's referring to the Mishkan and the gates of the Beis HaMikdash. The Shiurim of the Beis HaMikdash, that's the David that we're referring to. That's why it's called Mizmor Shir Chanukah Sabayis. The opening of the house, when there was a Chanukah of Bayis Rishon, David HaMelech, who was not alive at that time, but he was singing. It was a praise for him, because that's when he was vindicated. That's when he was cleaned. That's those shiurim are associated with him. Those are Zayna shiurim. So the David that we're referring to is these shiurim, and they sunk into the ground. If that's what's going on, says the Zera Shimshn. Let's go back to the Zera Shimshn for a moment. Zug the Zera Shimshn. Uma'ato. Now that we realize that we're referring to the Shiurim of Bayis Rishon, Hirgish Hamedrash Te Kushas B'Posik Zeh. We have two questions. Number one, Tchilas HaKefil Shel Mizmor Shir V'oid Lama Amar LeDavid Harehu Loi Bona V'im Loi Haya Amar B'Posik LeDavid. Would it have not said LeDavid what the Zera Shimshn asked to begin with? It would have just said Mizmor Shir Chanukah Sabayis. I wouldn't have had a kasha. Why not? Says the Zera Shimshn, Lo yoye kosher kefil, shayisrael meshakeful ashtei mikdashim. Mizmor Shir Chanukah Sabayis. How many Beis HaMikdash did we have, Rabbi Isai? Two. Two Beis HaMikdash, two Mizmors. A Mizmor mitashir. Two Chanukas, one Bayis Rishon, and then after Purim, 70 years later, Ezra, Sofer, Nehemiah, etc. came and built Bayis Sheni. Sha'achar shenechra Rishon nivna Sheni. Omnam ato, now that we said Sha'amar LeDavid, that the Medrash says that no, it's really David. Why is it David? Number one, Sheikhan HaKesev Azov Ekonem Mokrem Shnikra Shu Banai. He's considered the one who prepared it. He's the one that the Shiurim wouldn't open up. He's the one that opened up shop. So thanks to him, we're talking about which Bayis, Rabbi Isai? Bayis Rishon exclusively. So what's the Mizmor Shir? So why is there a double lashon of Mizmor Shir? Im kein lahoyloi nichrav lois nechav laolam shukamay ma'aser David mamish v'lama hakos of Mizmor Shir. You can't tell me because it's referring to a second Beis HaMikdash v'oich HaMikdash v'ashen yibazer Ezra v'loi David v'tiritz ha'mishoyer shelo hoisa ala churban ala keneged Beis HaMikdash shel ma'ala v'shel mato. It's not talking about the churban, it's talking about the Beis HaMikdash from upstairs and downstairs. Let's explain something, Rabbi Isai. The Beis HaMikdash was an integral, and we're going to talk about Chanukah now and connect this back to us. The Beis HaMikdash was an integral part of every Yom Tov. How so? One of the names of Yomim Tovim, the name in the Torah is called Shalosh Regalim. Why is it called Shalosh Regalim? So one of the reasons is Aliyah L'Regel. What's the inyan of Aliyah L'Regel? That every male, every Yom Tov has to come. If you went up Pesach, do you have to go Shavuos? Yes. Why? I was just there. Some people haven't had it. I was just there. No, you have to go again. Why? So we'll take a minute or two to explain. Maybe we're masber once. That really the three regalim represent three different types of connections to Hashem, based on three different emunos, three different beliefs that we have in our relationship with the Rabbeinu Shalom. The fact that we go Aliyah L'Regel on Pesach is one type of connection, Shavuos is another, and Sukkot is a third. How so? In Yetzias Mitzrayim it says 3 times Emunah. Maral points this out. Maral in Sefer Gvura says 3 times it says Emunah. When Hashem told Moshe, go to Mitzrayim and tell them that I heard Esmachoivav, I heard their tza'akos. It says Vayaminu ha'am, Vayikoidu, Vayishtachvu. They believed. They saw and felt that Hashem saw their pain. They believed that Hashem saw their pain. That was Emunah number 1. He knows what's going on. He knows, and He's going to get us out of this. A. By Kriyas Yamsuf it says, Vayar Yisrael Mitzrayim Meisas Vasayom, Vayar Yisrael Yad Agdoy Lashos Hashem b'Mitzrayim, Vayaminu b'Hashem u'Moshe Avdo. It's a zweite Emunah. What Emunah was that? That was the Emunah of Kriyas Yamsuf, that He split the sea and He threw them in there. That Chazal say, whatever the Makkos were, was 5 times bigger, right? As you know from the Haggadah Shal Pesach. Etzba Yad. If there was 10, here was 50. If there was 40, here was 200. If there was 50, there's 250. Whatever it was, this was Yod HaGedolah. Vayaminu. What did they believe in? Says the Maharal that He created the world. He created the world as one emunah. That's the Kriyas Yamsuf. He knows what's going on and He cares about us. That was Vayaminu, the first emunah. You know, it's possible that people believe, I believe in Hashem, but does He really have the time for itty bitty me? Does He really know what's going on in my life? There are many, many people who believe that their Rebbeinu Shem created the world, but they don't believe that their Rebbeinu Shem really is involved in their lives. Really? When I daven, He really listens? And you mean I have siyata d'shmaya? Yeah, that's a separate emunah. Vos noch? He wants me to do something in this world. He wants to, Evilepis. He didn't just put you over here to be here. He gave us a Torah. That's the third emunah. V'gam becha yaminu la'olam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu by Har Sinai said you'll believe in Torah's Moshe. That you have 3 emunahs. They believed that He created the world. They believed that He cares about them, He's involved with them, and they believe that He gave them a purpose, a Torah. The 3 regalim, like when we say a person, a regel, is like you've got a foot to stand on. The gimel regalim are the foundations. Which is the one that celebrates the fact that we have a purpose in life? Which one's that? Yeah. Shavuos, because we got the Torah. Which one is the one that celebrates our connection to the Rabbeinu Shalom, that He created the world and He's called Yachol and He did everything? We believe that. That's Pesach, because that's when we talk about all of the Nisim Vayada Kriyas Yamsuf. And which is the one that He's Shomer Ufrois Aleinu Sukkah Shalaymecha V'Sakneinu Be'etza Toiva Lefanecha, that He protects us. That's Sukkahs. He surrounded us, gave us food, clothing. We didn't need clothing. When you come Aliyah L'Regel, Each Aliyah L'Regel connects to Hashem in a different way. It's a connection to the Rabbi Shalom that we believe He created the world as Pesach. We believe that He gave us something to do in this world, which is Shavuos, and we believe that He protects us and involved in our lives. That's Sukkah. So if you come for one, but you're missing one of the Amunas. Every Yom Tif, although the Pesach happened in the desert, in Mitzrayim, Kabbalah Satayra happened Sinai in the desert, Sukkot happened in the desert, but you had to go to the Beis HaMikdash and connect to Hashem each of these Yomim Tovim. There's one Yom Tif that happened in the Beis HaMikdash. Chanukah. This Yom Tif happened there. That's when the Yevonim fought us and we fought back, and we were able to win and light candles. We don't have a Beis HaMikdash, do we? The Yom Tov of Chanukah, we can't go to the Beis HaMikdash, so Hashem brought us the Beis HaMikdash into our houses and gave us the mitzvah of Adlokas Neiros, similar to the mitzvah of the Mikdash with the Pach Shemen that lasted for 8 days. Instead of us going there, the Kedusha comes here. The Kedusha comes to our house. Mekenish machen aliyah l'regel. But we can have a Kedusha in our house. Chazal say that during the half an hour when the candles are lit, the bayis becomes Kodesh. Me'ikra dedina, how long does the candles have to be lit for? Chetzi shah. My Rebbe, Reb Moshe Shapiro Scheiner Levracha, would say over, he saw himself, the Briskerov, he was a teenager, maybe 18, 19 years old. Reb Moshe Shapiro Scheiner Levracha gedenkt, he says, the Briskerov lit candles. He stood outside, ahal b'shor, a half an hour. Achrei chetzi shah, he went to the candles, went like this, and turned around. The oil, not candles, the oil, like that. Okay, the mitzvah's over. Chetzi shah, that's it. Megei tzirik lernen. That's what the Briskerov did. He remembers himself. But that half an hour, Rabbi Isai, has a kedusha that Chazal say the wife is not allowed to work. No latkes, no laundry, no gurnished. That half an hour is this man of hadlaka. Why is it half an hour? Because that's already an under a cheshbon. Why it's a half an hour? But that chetzi shah, that zman, Rabbi Isai, your house becomes kodesh like a mokim kedusha, like the Beis HaMikdash. You bring the kedusha into your house. The Gemara says, "Ma'olam like karasi leishti, ishti karasi leishti beisi." Ner ish ubeisai. You know the mitzvah of adlakas neres is only Rabbi Isai in a house. It's not on the street. It's not on a plane. If you're traveling, you don't have a mitzvah. You have a house. If you're not at home, so you have somebody light for you. But the mitzvah is babayis. Who is the akeres habayis? Who is the akeres habayis? That's noshim tzedkoniyos. That's our wives. Those are the mamas, the babas. They're the ones who run the house. They're the akeres habayis. They're the ikra of the house. So when the kedusha comes, when the kedusha and the shechina, and that resembles the Beis HaMikdash, adlokas haneres comes to our house, during the zman of the mitzvah, there's a kedusha in the house. We can't go to the Beis HaMikdash, but the Beis HaMikdash comes to us. Which nekuda of the Beis HaMikdash comes to us? The untouchable part. The part that they couldn't extinguish. The part that remains, that even though we're metame everything, there was one chaysemes, that one pach shemen they couldn't contaminate. Lo sholat behem maise yodov. That's the Gemara of David HaMelech. And which one of the mikdoshim were they not shoylet in? the one called the Mishkan, the one that was around with Klal Yisrael, the one that went with them wherever they went. The Mikdash had a central location in Yerushalayim. But where was the Mishkan? Wherever the Jewish people were encamped. They were in one place, they set up shop, they built a Mishkan, the Yidden were around. Then it came time to go, the Anani HaKavod picked up, they blew the shofar, time to go. Megeit weiter. When it stopped the cloud, let's set up shop. There was the Mishkan, there came Ashras HaShechina. That level of Ashras HaShechina, that I'll come to where you are. I'll let my Shechina be where you are. That's the type of Mikdash that Moshe Rabbeinu built, and that, says our Gemara, was never nechrav. You know when we read, especially that time, Chanukah, the Chanukah's HaMizbeach, the Chanukah's HaMishkan. That's what we read now. We started reading Vayi Bayom Kalois Moshe Lahokim Es HaMishkan. That's what we read today. Because that Kedusha, that the Shechina can come to your house, HaShoichen Itam, lives with you, das is the Kedusha von Chanukah, Rabbi Sai. That's the Kedusha. The Mizmor Shiur, that although they can destroy a Beis HaMikdash Lemato, they can't destroy a Beis HaMikdash Lemalo. And as long as there's a Beis HaMikdash Lemalo, then there can be Asheres HaShechina Lemato. Vu, bring it to your house. Bring it to your house. Every year Chanukah, we bring home the Zera Shimshn. We want to bring it into our house. We want to bring the Ashras HaShechina Yede Einim Azos Haram bring about Unzin. We're one big family, Baruch Hashem. We want to bring the Ashras HaShechina into our house, because this is really where it belongs. Hashoichen Itam. When you go home at nighttime and you have those candles and you light the light, I like candles, you light the neighbor's Chanukah, you like the Shemen Zayazach, you're doing an avodah that was done in the Mishkan. You're doing an avodah that was done in the Beis HaMikdash. Maral writes, I'll just read for you the Lashon of the Maral. There's a story. The Gemara says, if not for Reb Nochi, we wouldn't be doing any of this. He is the Ma'asa. Reb Nochi was the one who made this happen. It's your schus. This whole room. How many shurim are there, Mayor? Hundreds of shurim with who knows how many participants. So I'm jealous. I'm jealous of that schus you have. Chazal say that the Beis HaMikdash is known as Or. It's known as light. When Hurdus killed all the Chachamim, basically wiped out everybody, and he had Charata, he came to whoever was left, and he said, what should we do? What should I do? He said, you wiped out the Einer, you wiped out the Chachamim, the Tzadikim, the Or Zarua la Tzadik, so build the Beis HaMikdash, which is known as Or. Build the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash is a Dover Ruchni. That's the Ashras HaShechina. Like we said, we can't go to the Beis HaMikdash anymore. We can't. It's not here. But on Chanukah we can bring the Beis HaMikdash to our house. We can bring the Avodas HaBeis HaMikdash. HaMikdash, says the Maral, is known as Or. Oiroi Shel Oilam. The Oiroi Shel Oilam kumt rein in the Shtub. It comes into our house. The Kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash, it's the only Nes that happened in the Beis HaMikdash that we celebrate as a Yom Tif. It's the Kedusha's Beis HaMikdash. You can't make Aliyah L'Regel, but you can bring the regel back to your house. Mikar ad shetichle regel min hashuk.
Why don't we make a Suda?
Why do we make a Suda?
Why don't we make a Suda?
The only reason to make a Suda is so that you can bench like a mensch. So that you can bench and sing and say Ala Nisim. That's the Suda that we make. Why don't we make? Because it wasn't the guf, it was the neshama. It was Torah Or that was being persecuted. That's why we don't, Shane, that's why we make the celebration of Chanukah not with so much Gashmias, but more with Ruchnias. Kiner mitzvah v'Torah Or. So Ma'ala Zoicha Zayin, every single one of us, the glow. And I want to just finish off with one more point, if you'll let me already. One more point. The neshama is known as a candle. Right? What's the Lashon HaPasuk? Ner Hashem nishmas udam. Ner Hashem. The candle of Hashem. Candles glow. God forbid, chas v'shalom, if you ever see a dead man, a dead person, I don't know if people here do I can't do taharas, but I know some people do taharas here in the room. There are people who do taharas. The face of a live person versus the face of a dead person, you can see right away on a hand, mekanish zayin, if the person's dead or alive. The hand looks the same. The feet look the same. But the face of a dead man has no glow because the neshama left it. That's what's called yifei toyar v'yifei mare. The mare is the glow. The glow of a person's face is his neshama. That's the neshama. When Chazal, the tzaddikim, were able to look at a person's face and know what his ruchniistic level was, he could see how much his face was glowing. He was able to see the neshama in a person's face. What we learn from Chanukah is that no matter how contaminated we are in Golus, we still have the glow of our neshama. The Rebbeinu Shalom is still willing to come to our house. It's never too contaminated that the Rebbeinu Shalom soll nicht wollen zurückkommen. He wants to come back. I can't go to the Beis HaMikdash. I can't go. I can't have a shaychus to Hashem. Oh yes, you can. But I did this wrong and I did that wrong, and maybe I don't speak the right language. I don't look at things I'm supposed. You're right. You do all these things wrong, but you still have a neshama. And you haven't been able to hurt and taint the neshama. All the aveiros we've done, cholila, and all the tumah we've contaminated ourselves, cholila. But the neshama inside of us, Kiner Hashem Nishmas Adam. That's untouchable. That's the Maisa of Moshe and the Maisa of David. Mizmor Shiur, says the Zera Shimshn. So the Beis HaMikdash Lamala, that can't be touched. So the Beis HaMikdash Klal Yisrael down here, that can't be touched either. Chanukah's Habayis LeDavid. David's bias, Moshe's bias. The Mishkan and the Shiurim. Light the candle by the Sha'ar. Light the candle by the door. Because those are the two parts that are untouchable, uncontaminable, unbreakable. That's the Yid HaKodesh that lives on Ad Bias Koyel Tzedek B'Mheira V'Yameinu.